Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are discussing arches of foot. Our objectives are define arches of foot, discuss the structures forming arches of foot, and describe their stabilizing factors. And in the last we will discuss some applied aspects related to arches of foot. So the arches of foot means that in our sole of the foot, the surface of the sole of the foot is not completely flat, but it is arched on the lateral side as well as on the medial side, and even if we see the sole of the foot transversely. So we have two arches of foot which are running longitudinally in the long axis of foot, that is a lateral longitudinal arch and a medial longitudinal arch. As we can see easily, the height of the lateral longitudinal arch is comparatively lower than the medial longitudinal arch. So medial longitudinal arch is higher as compared to lateral longitudinal arch. So these are two longitudinal arches, and along with that we have one arch which is transversely running almost in the middle of the sole, and that is known as transverse arch. So already you have talked about the sole of the foot while moving these arches, and also the shape of the sole of the foot help us to walk on uneven surfaces. That's why the architecture of the bone is like that, and also the arrangement of the muscles is like that, that because of these arches and the bony structures, they help the sole of the foot or the foot to move on uneven surfaces. That is the main function of arches of foot. So on uneven surfaces they stabilize the walking mechanism. So there are three arches: medial longitudinal arch, lateral longitudinal arch, and transverse arch. So before we move to the arches, just we have an idea about that when we talk about the foot, the muscles of the foot as well as the muscles which are coming from the posterior compartment of leg, they act as, even the other compartments that we are going to discuss, act as a simple lever mechanism. So the foot is acting against the musculature as a simple lever. Also it can be a segmented lever depending upon that. For example, the superficial muscles are attached to the heel, as well as the deep muscles of the posterior compartment are passing through the sole of the foot and almost touching the distal part of the sole of the foot. So they also act as a lever. So it can, the muscles can act as a simple lever, or a group of muscles can act as segmented lever, that partial lever from the muscles of the superficial compartment and other complete lever action from the deep compartment. So the muscles are acting on the foot as a lever. That is the mechanism of foot movement, and this diagram is just showing the normal footprint. So as you can see, the lateral border is almost complete, but there is a curve on the medial side or medial border of the foot because of the presence of the arch, what we are going to discuss as medial. So here we have medial longitudinal arch, and on the lateral side we have lateral longitudinal arch. The transverse arch is running like this. So now we will move to the other portion which is showing us the mechanism of stabilization as well as the attachment of different structures of each or individual arch. So the factors which are responsible shape of the bones which act as a keystones. So in every arch there is a keystone, means the shape of the bone is a one of the stabilizing factor to some extent. That is number one. The second, the arrangement of the ligaments like in the sole short and long plantar ligaments and calcaneonavicular ligament. All the other ligaments which we are going to discuss, they act like the staples. So just like the stapler, once we connect the structures together, these ligaments are keeping the structures or the bony structures together, and they act as a staples. And the third is that there are the certain muscles like the tendon of flexor hallucis longus, which is actually coming from the posterior compartment of leg and reaching to the mid toe base. So it acts as a tie beam like structure along with the ligaments which we are going to discuss. And then the fourth one is suspension bridges. There are certain muscles like peroneus longus from the lateral compartment. It is coming from the lateral compartment and it is going towards the sole of the foot, right there. So they are just acting as a suspension bridge, or the tendon is suspending that arch like structure. So these are the four different supporting methods through which the arches are stabilized and they are maintained their shape. Number one, shape of the bones or the keystone of that arch. Then the ligaments, they are just acting as a stapler for staples. The muscles acting as a tie beam, and the muscles, tendons, which are acting as a suspension bridges like this to hold the arch. So if this is the arch and this is the suspension bridge, if you can see, it is holding it like this. So it is just suspending the arch from above. So these are mainly four methods through which these arches are stabilized, or we have discussed. We move to the first arch, which is the higher arch, the medial longitudinal arch. So we are going to discuss the bones which are forming medial longitudinal arch and how it is maintained. So if we see the shape of the bones, what we have discussed, the keystone or shape of the stones, that sustentaculum tali holds up the talus, that is a two bones. Then the concave proximal surface of the navicular bone receives the rounded head of the talus, and slight concavity of the proximal surface of the medial cuneiform bone receives the navicular. And the main bone over here, or the keystone in these bones, is the rounded head of the talus, which is actually known as keystone for this arch. So we have bones as calcaneum, talus, navicular, cuneiform, and also anterior to the cuneiform, the metatarsal. They all are forming this medial longitudinal arch, but the main keystone here is the talus bone. And another important factor for stabilizing, that these bones are providing the main architecture or shape to that arch, but they are not stabilizing it completely. So they are not taking part in main stabilization of the arch. Remember this thing, they are just giving the shape to the arch, but they are not stabilizing them or keeping them in position. For that thing we have ligaments as well as we have muscles, which we are going to discuss. So here we can see the sustentaculum tali, which is holding the talus, then the navicular bone connecting the talus, and navicular bone is connecting on the anterior aspect with the medial cuneiform and medial cuneiform with the metatarsal. So if we can see here, this is the medial longitudinal arch. So the shape and arrangement and joint formation of these bones form this arch, which is known as medial longitudinal arch. The bones which are involved in medial longitudinal arch are calcaneum, talus, navicular, medial cuneiform, and first metatarsal. That some books also include second metatarsal also, but these are the most medial bones which are forming this arch. So these are the bones which are responsible for forming the arch along with the keystone, that is the talus. That is the first bone that we talked about. The second thing, uh, the inferior edges of the bones are tied together by Plantar ligaments, mainly the plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, and tendinous extensions of the insertion of tibialis posterior. So the second point the second point regarding the medial longitudinal arch through which the bones are joined together by different joints between the bones, but they are, or their edges are connected together or staples by these ligaments. So this second point is the staples, the plantar ligaments, mainly plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, and the second tendons extensions of insertion of tibialis posterior. So here we can see the long plantar, as you can see, and short plantar, which are connecting different bones together, and even the other ligaments, like you can see over here, cuneo-navicular. So all mostly small ligaments which are connecting the bones, they are acting as staples. These are the bones which are connected by these ligaments, the long plantar, the short plantar, and another very important ligament which is commonly known as spring ligament, and it is plantar calcaneonavicular ligament between the calcaneum and the navicular, known as plantar calcaneonavicular or spring ligament. So these ligaments, along with the tendon of tibialis posterior, they act as staples for the medial longitudinal arch, and the tendon is also acting as a tie beam for the medial longitudinal arch. So the second staples are plantar ligament, short and long, spring ligament, and the muscle which is involved in the medial longitudinal arch stabilization is tibialis posterior. So these are the major factors for stabilizing it. Remember, these are the major factors. Along with the third thing which is stabilizing is tying the ends of the arch together by the presence of plantar aponeurosis and the muscles present in that region. So plantar aponeurosis, medial part of flexor digitorum brevis, abductor hallucis, flexor hallucis longus, medial part of flexor digitorum longus, and flexor hallucis brevis. So these all are the muscles which are responsible, along with plantar aponeurosis, to keep the arch in its position. So here we can see one by one. So this is our plantar aponeurosis in the sole of the foot, which also help in maintaining the medial longitudinal arch. Along with plantar aponeurosis, we have muscles. Abductor hallucis, already in the sole of the foot. We have talked about these muscles. So these muscles, abductor hallucis longus and the medial part of the flexor digitorum brevis, they also help in connecting the bones together, in maintaining the shape. Flexor hallucis longus tendon and flexor digitorum longus medial tendon also help in maintaining the shape, and the medial head of flexor hallucis brevis muscle. So these are the factors which are responsible for the formation and maintenance of medial longitudinal arch, starting with the bones we have discussed, and then the ligaments and the muscles. And the fourth, suspending the arch, that is acting as a suspension bridge, is tibialis anterior muscle and posterior and medial ligament of the ankle joint. So one muscle and other ligaments, posterior and medial ligaments of the ankle, they act as a suspension bridge, what we have discussed. So keystone is our talus. The staples are the long, small and spring ligaments. Tie being the tibialis posterior and tibialis anterior muscles, along with the tibialis posterior, and for the suspension bridges we have tibialis anterior and posterior medial ligaments of the ankle. So here you can see the medial ligament, which is also known as deltoid ligament of the ankle. So this medial ligament and the tendon of tibialis anterior, it acts as a suspension bridge, and also the medial ligaments of the ankle, which have different parts as posterior tibiotalar, tibiocalcaneal, tibionavicular, and anterior tibiotalar. These four parts combine together and form deltoid ligament. Posterior tibiotalar, tibiocalcaneal, and tibionavicular, and anterior tibiotalar. These four ligaments are collectively named as deltoid ligament or medial ligament of the ankle. So it also acts as a suspension bridge for medial longitudinal arch along with the tendon of tibialis anterior. That's all for the medial longitudinal arch. For the lateral longitudinal arch, which is the second arch, and already we have discussed that this arch is comparatively lower in height as compared to medial longitudinal arch. Here the shape of the bones, the minimal shaping of the distal end of the calcaneum and proximal end of the cuboid bone is forming this arch along with the other bones which I will show you in the other picture. Here in this arch the cuboid is the keystone. So here you can see the calcaneum, then the cuboid, and then the metatarsal, 4 and 5th metatarsal, mainly the 5th one, also the 4th one. So these are the bones which are forming the lateral longitudinal arch, and along with them the cuboid bone is the main keystone over here, which is forming this arch: calcaneum, cuboid, and 5th metatarsal with cuboid as keystone. These are the bones which are forming lateral longitudinal arch. So after the keystone, the inferior edges of the bones are tied together by, or the staples over here are again long and short plantar ligaments, and along with that, the origin of the short muscles from the fore part of the foot, they act as a staples for the medial longitudinal arch. So here we can see the long plantar ligament, as you can see over here, and from the other side, in the previous picture, we have seen the short plantar ligaments, which are helping together along with the short muscles which are taking origin from the lower part of our foot. They also help in maintaining this arch and connect the bones together. Over here you can see in the from the sole of the foot you can see the long plantar, as well as you can see the plantar calcaneus cuboid, which is also known as short plantar. So short plantar, plantar calcaneus cuboid ligament between the calcaneum cuboid, and long plantar between calcaneum and it. As it goes forward, it divided into four slits for the basis of lateral four digits, forming long plantar. So these two ligaments are the staples for lateral longitudinal arch. Then the tie beams for this arch are the plantar aponeurosis. The same for the medial longitudinal arch also, mainly its medial lateral part, and the muscle as abductor digiti minimi, and the lateral part of as the digitorum longus and brevis tendons. We can see again mainly the lateral part of plantar aponeurosis, then the flexor digitorum brevis and flexor digitorum longus tendons, the medial half of these muscles, and the muscle which is the lateral half of these two muscles, flexor digitorum brevis and longus lateral half, and the abductor digiti minimi lateral half of digitorum brevis and digitorum longus with abductor digiti and minimi. They are acting as a staples and tie beams also. And for suspending or suspension of this arch, peroneus longus and peroneus brevis, which are the muscles of lateral compartment, they are acting as a suspension bridges for the lateral longitudinal arch. So here you can see the fibulus posterior, peroneus uh, brevis, and fibularis or peroneus longus tendons. So these two which are present on the lateral side, they act as they are coming from the lateral compartment of the leg, and they act as a suspension bridges over here. So you can see here it acts as a suspension bridge, longus and brevis from the peroneal compartment. And now the third arch which we have is maintaining for the transverse arch shape of the bones are the wedge shaping of the cuneiform bones and the basis of metatarsal bones are forming these arches. So Deep transverse metatarsal ligaments, and along with them are the plantar ligaments. So they help in maintaining also plantar metatarsal ligaments. You can see over here. These all small ligaments along with the muscles which are present here as interosseous muscles, they help in maintaining the heart. So here we can see also the muscles as adductor hallucis and the deeper muscles help in maintaining this arch. Dorsal interosseous as well as plantar. Mainly the plantar interosseous are involved in keeping the bones in their position and acting as a tie-beam. Tying the ends of the arches together by the peroneus longus tendon, and suspension is the same like peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. Here we can see brevis and peroneus longus are acting as a tie beam as well as suspension bridges for the transverse arch which is present over here. So these are the arches which are present in our sole of the foot, medial, lateral and transverse. And there are two applied aspects. The most common is flat foot, in which the if you take a footprint of the sole, the whole medial lateral borders are completely appearing with no gap on the medial side or no curvature or concavity on the medial side, because the arch is flat completely, and that is known as pes planus. So medial longitudinal arch is depressed or collapsed. Forefoot is replaced laterally and inverted. The head of the talus is no longer supported the body, and the body weight forces downward and medially between the calcaneum and the navicular bone. So talus is not in its position, so the key stone or key bone moves down because of the body weight, and it is no longer maintaining the height of the arch. So the head of the talus is no longer supported and body weight forces downward medially between the calcaneum and navicular. So the downward pull of the talus takes place. The plantar, calcaneonavicular and medial ligaments of the ankle joint become permanently stretched because of that bony displacement. Continuous due to continuous pressure, they are stretched, and as they are stretched, the bone also changes their shapes, and the muscles and tendons are also permanently stretched. So, because of these permanent stretch and continuous pressure, there is no more arch, and it is just like a flat area on the medial border. And here you can see this is the normal arch, and this is pes planus, so you can't see or appreciate any arch on it. And here you can see the displacement of the cuboid bone over here is causing the other bones to lie down, and this is known as fallen or flat arch. So this is pes planus or the flat foot. So now what happened in this is that because of this flat foot, the person is not able to walk on uneven surfaces, or even during the running the speed will be decreased due to the presence of this musculature did the indirect contact with the ground, because there is no arch. So because of the no arch, the movement is difficult, and even on uneven surfaces it is very difficult to walk in a stabilized manner. The second condition is known as pes cavus, which is also known as clawfoot. Here the median longitudinal arch is unduly high. It is the opposite of pes clavus. Occurs due to muscle imbalance. If the muscle tone is disturbed and muscle are imbalanced, it can cause high longitudinal arch, and it may be occur due to poliomyelitis. So you can see this is the normal arch and this is pes cavus. So the arch is very high. So again, if the arch is very high, there will be difficulty in the movement of the sole, and it will cause difficulty while moving or running or walking. So that's all about the arches and side aspects. So a normal foot with a normal arch, a flat foot with no arch, and a claw foot with high arched. So that's all about the arches of the foot. So for any question, please ask. Thank you very much.